get this right. We're going to dive deep, and I mean deep, into this whole AI economy thing today.
Yeah, this should be interesting.
Big thanks to you guys, actually. You sent in that Alternative World podcast, super thought-provoking stuff. Algorithms raking in cash. Are jobs maybe not being jobs anymore?
Right.
Are we headed for beach life or like Mad Max scavenging?
Okay, so maybe not that dramatic.
Okay.
But that podcast, they're not wrong to be worried about, well, what happens to the wealth, right? Who gets it in an AI world? And what's crazy is this is like history repeating itself, kind of, but also totally new territory.
It's like AI is coming for everything. I mean, right out the gate, Alternative World is talking about productivity going through the roof. Like way more efficient, everything happening at like warp speed.
Yeah, warp speed.
Kind of cool to think about, honestly.
Oh, for sure. AI could really change things for the better in a lot of ways. Like, I'm hopeful for a lot of it, right? But an Alternative World pointed this out. It's not like we haven't been here before, Like, think Industrial Revolution. But this time, it's not just factory workers. It's
everyone.
Yes, the finance guys, the lawyers, even doctors.
Yeah.
These super skilled jobs. AI is coming for those too, potentially.
So no more like those stockbrokers yelling on the floor, just algorithms, making trades in milliseconds.
Basically.
Man, it's efficient, I guess, but kind of creepy too, right? Like, what happens to all those people if their jobs just disappear?
$1 million question, right? And Alternative World went there, asked the big one. If machines can do almost all the work, who gets paid? Like, fundamentally, how do we even value work anymore? And then how do we split up the wealth if nobody's really earning it the way we used to?
Yeah.
Trippy.
It's like our whole system gets flipped on its head, right?
Right.
And they brought up Universal Basic Income, UBI, as like a possible solution. This idea that everyone gets a paycheck, even if they don't have a job, by taxing all those AI companies making bank.
Yeah, taxing the robots.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while, this UBI idea, but AI makes it a much bigger deal,
Yeah.
And Alternative World, to their credit, they didn't just say UBI, it's the answer. They laid out the good and the bad.
Right, like will people even want to work if they don't have to? And can we even afford to pay everyone, like forever? I mean, those are huge questions.
Totally.
But even bigger picture, I was thinking, will we even get to choose work or not if AI gets as big as they say? Like, what if there just aren't jobs for most people?
Forced leisure.
Right.
It's kind of dystopian. Alternative World made that point. Like, it's not just the money. It's our whole identity, what we do all day.
That's deep.
And they were saying we need to be talking about this now, not when it's too late.
Yeah, because this whole shift, it feels like it's right around the corner. And on the topic of like who's in control, Alternative World definitely went there. They're worried about the big tech companies, the usual suspects. Their point was these guys could end up running the whole AI show, basically.
Oh, yeah. It's like a Black Mirror episode waiting to happen, right?
Totally. All the AI, all the money, controlled by like 5 dudes in Silicon Valley. Yikes.
And Alternative World used this phrase, a new kind of oligarchy, which, like,
yeah.
History's full of those not ending well.
Right.
But they also said we need rules, regulation to stop that from happening, to make AI work for everybody. The thing is, too many rules and nothing new gets invented. Not enough and, well.
We're back to the 5 dudes controlling everything.
Exactly. And then, like, it wasn't already complicated enough, they start talking about the rest of the world, which is...
Oh, yeah, the elephant in the room. Like, what happens if some countries are way better at this AI thing than others?
Right. It's not even just robots taking jobs, right? It's like, which countries own the robots, basically? Like, the whole AI tech behind it.
Yeah, it's like a whole new arms race, but instead of nukes, it's lines of code.
Exactly. And Alternative World gave some pretty vivid examples, like in healthcare, for instance.
Oh, yeah, they went there.
They're saying AI could be huge, right? Diagnosing stuff way earlier, way more accurately than humans ever could. Personalized treatments, even cures for stuff we think is impossible now.
Imagine that, though, right? Like, some countries with AI doctors that are basically miracle workers, and then the rest of us.
And that's what's scary. It's not even just money. It's like basic needs. If AI controls healthcare and only a few have it, that's messed up.
Totally. What are they calling it? Digital colonialism? Like, instead of taking your land, they take over all the tech.
Yeah, and it makes those countries dependent, right? Like Alternative World was saying they might never catch up if they're reliant on someone else's AI.
It's like we're creating the same power imbalances just in a new way. So what can we even do about it? I mean, they were talking about lawyers, right? Like, even they're not safe.
No one's safe. But yeah, lawyers, they're saying all that research contract stuff, even predicting if you'll win a case, AI is already doing it.
So you go through years of law school to learn. You're obsolete. That's rough.
And it's not even just that it's faster. They brought up the bias problem.
Oh, man. Yeah. AI learning all our worst habits.
Exactly. Like, there were examples, AI in courtrooms, and guess what? It's harsher on poor people, on minorities, same old problems, just amplified,
Right.
because now it's a machine, so it must be, right?
We're making our own worst nightmare, basically.
Alternative worlds,
Yeah.
the whole point was we need to be way more careful, like, build AI ethically.
Right, but how? Like, tell the code to be a good person.
Right. I mean, not literally,
Yeah.
but it's about whose values get programmed in.
Right.
Can't just be the tech guys. It's got to be everyone.
So bigger conversations, making sure AI is good, actually. That's a lot of pressure.
It's on all of us, they were saying, which, I don't know, it's kind of empowering in a way. Like, tech is huge, could change everything, but it's not inevitable how it goes down.
We're all coding the future, in a way, right?
Right.
Man, it's like we're trying to write the instruction manual, but we haven't actually finished building the thing yet, you know?
Yeah, kind of. And that's why we need to be having these conversations, like, constantly. The good news is, alternative world, they were saying more and more people are aware of this now. Like, the people actually making policy, the bigwigs in tech, even the researchers, they're all starting to talk about this ethical AI stuff.
So it's not just a bunch of coders in a basement somewhere making all the decisions anymore.
Hopefully not.
That's good to hear.
And they even had examples of stuff that's already happening, like actual guidelines for building AI being more ethical.
Like rule books for robots.
Kind of. Organizations like, what was it, the OECD, I think, and the EU, they're working on this.
So it's global then, right? Not just one country trying to figure this out alone.
Right, because it affects everyone. And they were saying guidelines aren't enough, though. Like, the whole culture of how we build this tech needs to change.
Okay, so how do you even start to do that?
Well, they said, we need more diversity on the teams making AI, for one. You know, different backgrounds, different ways of thinking.
Right, because if it's just like one type of person building it.
Exactly. And training those people, right?
Hmm.
Like, ethics shouldn't be an elective in coding school. It should be mandatory.
Yeah, make it so they can't accidentally create a monster because they didn't even know it was a possibility.
And ways to call out bad behavior, right? Like, if someone sees something messed up happening with the AI, they need to be able to say something without being afraid of losing their job.
Whistleblowing for algorithms, basically. Man,
Yeah.
this is a lot. Like changing how an entire industry thinks. That's huge.
It's huge, but alternative world seem to think it's possible.
Yeah.
Like, there are people pushing for this, within tech even, who get it.
That's something, at least. But it's not just on them, is it? Like, they made it pretty clear everyone's got a dog in this fight.
Totally. It's our future too, right? Like, we
Yeah.
can't just sit back and let someone else decide how AI plays out. And they gave some advice, actually, on what people can do.
Okay, so besides listening to Alternative World on repeat, what's the game plan?
Well, first, just stay informed. Like, know what's going on, what's being developed, what it could mean, all that. And then talk about it.
Start an AI book club.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But also, like, with your friends, family, coworkers, the more we talk about this stuff, the more it's not just some abstract tech thing, right? It becomes real.
Grounded in reality. So it's not robots someday. It's like, how will this affect my job next year kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And support the groups trying to do this right. There are organizations working on ethical AI. Donate to them, volunteer, whatever you can do. And this is a big one. Talk to your elected officials.
Make them listen.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who can actually like pass laws about this stuff.
Exactly. It's about making our voices heard, right? Like, this technology is powerful, but we're still the ones in charge, at least for now.
So it's up to us to make sure AI is a tool for good, not another problem to deal with. Man, this whole deep dive has been intense but really eye-opening. If someone wants to learn more, Alternative World is the place to go, right?
For sure. It's a great starting point, really gets you thinking about the big picture.
And that's what we need more of, right? Thinking, discussing before it's too late to change course.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So, on that note, big thanks to everyone for joining us on this AI adventure. It's a wild ride, that's for sure, but hey, at least we're all in it together. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.